I'm Gabby's Jules, gray skies over West London, but that's just literally metaphorically. It's blue skies all over London because Chelsea destroyed Barcelona, and Arsenal, of course, beat Bayern in the clash of unbeaten teams.
Yeah.
Jules, this is just a little bit of what went on, but we will talk about Arsenal and Bayern as a main segment. We should also note Real Madrid giving up 3 goals in Athens, Manchester City. Maybe being a little too clever and losing. Heartbreak for Inter. But you know where we're going to start. We're going to start at the Emirates. Arsenal and Bayern. I'm going to come out and say this. If there was a number one ranking like they do in boxing or whatever, it's Arsenal right now. Arsenal are the top of the power rankings. Bayern going into this had won every single game they played this season. They'd only...
Bar one.
But bar one, they had the one draw.
Yeah.
At the weekend, they rested a lot of guys. Yes, Luis Diaz was suspended, but they were prepared for this. Arsenal coming off the Spurs game, which still takes. Okay, I know Spurs got battered, but it still takes a lot out of you psychologically. And with a big game coming up at the weekend, and I thought in the second half, Arsenal just turned it on, even before the substitutions.
Yeah. The second half was really impressive. Everything from Declan Rice to your defense on Harry Kane to how clinical you were, and to be fair, they should have scored more goals than the 3 that they actually scored, to the substitutions from Mikel Arteta and his coaching. Everything was just pretty much perfect. I guess they can maybe look at the goal they conceded and think, okay, that's the only thing we gave them, really, because they had, I think, 3 shot Bayern, 2 on target.
Pretty good pass from Joshua Kimmich.
It's amazing, but still, you know the run that Gnabry is going to make, and Lewis Kelly. Even after that, the way they defend on Carl. So that's maybe the only thing, if you're getting a little bit picky, or what they could look at. But apart from that, they were just so dominant.
What I find impressive about Arsenal is the many different ways of winning, in the sense that we know that they can counterattack. We know that obviously set pieces are a big thing. We saw it with Julien Timber doing his Gabriel impression. But there's other ways too. They can counterpress based on it's almost like he's what Arteta is doing, and it's really difficult. It's a sign of really good coaching. Is playing a different kind of Arsenal in different moments during the game, and I thought it was very noticeable last night. And Company didn't have an answer for that. I'm not going to blame Company.
No.
But
I think the fitness did the difference for me more than anything else. The way that Bayern could not cope and could not compete with Arsenal's intensity in that second half. And playing at home, obviously, I think helps you. But again, going back to Rice and the activity that he had through the whole game, but especially in the second half, he was denied by Neuer on what would have been a great goal after a great run. He was just everywhere. It looked like there was 2 or 3 Rices on the pitch. And I think Bayern, for the intensity that they've showed, where at PSG, for example, at least for the first half, just didn't have it this time. And I think you don't want Arsenal to be peaking, obviously, too early because it's still only November and you don't win anything in November. But you also think that Bayern had looked sharper than what they did last night because Arsenal made them look like that.
Yeah, you talk about peaking, but this is the interesting thing, and we're going to talk about this more in the podcast segment. But when we talk about the more to come from Bayern, obviously Gabriel wasn't there, but he's been there earlier. But they've gotten nothing from Kai Havertz this season.
Yeah.
They've gotten, I think, close to nothing from Gyökeres. I know he's been a big body, he's been there, but whatever. Yeah. We haven't seen him yet. Odegaard, they've gotten almost nothing from. Saka had the injury, came back. I don't think he was bad last night, but again, Arteta showed a ton of personality in taking him off.
Yeah.
If all these guys, I mean, certainly Saka and Odegaard, all these guys can carry the team on their own, and you haven't had contributions from them yet.
Yeah. I think the depth in the squad is the other thing, really, that I think made the difference in that game. The Bayern squad is thinner, much thinner, but which is nothing new.
We should remind people: Fonzie, Davis out, Musiala out. They haven't contributed much this season. Nothing in Musiala's case. Luis Diaz suspended as well, which is why we got to see Leonard Carl. Serge Gnabry, I don't think was fully fit.
Yeah. So the depth in the Arsenal squad, even with those players missing that you named, Gab, makes a massive difference. I don't know if there's certainly not many teams in Europe who have that kind of depth of squads, that much talent left on the bench, for example, either. So when you have that and you use it well, like Arteta did certainly on Wednesday night and might do again in the season, it makes a massive difference.
Jules, I want to go back to this because I think it's very telling of Arteta, his relationship with the players, and what he feels empowered to do. Because we all sit here after the fact and praise them, blah, blah, blah. But there's a moment, Arsenal start the second half really, really well. I think they had maybe 2 or 3 chances before the substitutions. Then it comes time to make a substitution. And he takes off Lewis Skelly, who I think was one Arsenal player who struggled a little bit.
Yeah.
And he sends on Calafiori, fine, like for like. And then, now Madueke had already come on for Trossard, who picked up an injury in the first half. And then he sends on Martinelli. And then I saw Martinelli coming, and I'm thinking like, well, that's weird. Is he going to take Madueke off? It wouldn't, in a million years, cross my mind that he would take off Saka. Now, Saka is, we can debate whether he's Arsenal's best player, or biggest star in absolute terms, or whether it's Declan Rice or whatever. But that's at a time when your team is doing well, because it started second half really, really well. I don't remember other cases of coaches against in a game like this, when it's still 1-1, when the team's playing well, they take off the guy who maybe hasn't been the best performer on the night, although he wasn't bad.
Yeah.
And who was also the biggest star. I mean, I just think about it. We're talking about, taking off Cristiano Ronaldo at Real Madrid or Mbappe these days at Real Madrid. It's that is a really, really huge call.
Yeah.
And that speaks volumes of Saka's personality, because tell you what, somebody makes a mistake, Bayern win, and then it's, why do you take off Saka in that situation? Do you not trust Saka? Is there something wrong? And then controversy brews up. And then if Saka decides that, he wants to create trouble, then he can create trouble. None of that happened. That speaks to me of a manager who is super confident of his situation and a certain relationship between him and Saka.
I don't really. I think he wanted to give time to Martinelli and to Madueke on the pitch. He just came back from injury, especially before the game at Chelsea on Sunday. So it didn't shock me really. I think a lot was happening on the other side and Saka anyway in that second half. I don't think he had a great start of the second half either. And I think he played a lot with England. He played the 2 games, but the second one off the bench, the first one 90 minutes. He played a lot of 90 minutes lately. So maybe that's it. Maybe it's just a bit resting him for Sunday. I just think also when you've got a squad like this, you use it regardless of who comes up or comes off, maybe, I don't know. I think I'm not really sure what else to say. To be fair, I don't think it's a big deal. I don't think it's
a big deal taking off your.
No.
And why does this never happen? Well, how often do we see this? How often do we see Manchester United take off Bruno Fernandes?
I mean, Manchester United do what they want to do. Amorim does what he wants to do. I think in this case...
Yeah, but that's my point. He's different from these other managers. I mean,
but he's never really taken Saka off before. I just think that Saka was a bit tired. He wanted to give time to Martinelli. You can't take off Madueke, who you just brought on half an hour earlier. So you can't take off Eze because Martinelli is not going to play central. So you could have moved Merino. It's a lot of movement. You go position for position. Madueke goes on the right, Martinelli on the left. It didn't shock me. Maybe there's more to it. Personally, watching the game this morning because I didn't watch it last night live. It didn't really shock me.
I think it was a masterstroke from Arteta, and I think it speaks to his confidence right now in the decisions he makes. You talk about depth. I had a conversation with somebody about this, and you can feel free to prove me wrong. Arsenal have a large number of players who, if we go individually by position, are top 5 or top 10 in the world. I don't think there's any question. In fact, you could argue maybe the entire back 4, maybe Raya. I mean, depending when you put it top 5 or top 10. But then the person made the point, when you talk about people who are top 3 in their position, or top 1 or 2, it's probably fewer than other teams.
Yeah, maybe, yeah.
I mean, is Rice top 3? Maybe.
Yeah.
I don't think you would say Saka is the top 1 or 2 right winger in the world. I mean, he's top 5, maybe. Very, very close.
Yeah.
Saliba, you can make a case, not I mean, possibly, and I think this also makes it easier to use your depth. And this ties in with what I said before. You don't have the Haaland, you don't have the Mbappe in there, and so it really does feel like there's much more of a team ethos. People don't look at this. I compare it to Chelsea. When Caicedo or Cole Palmer aren't there, it's a problem.
Yeah.
People look at, oh my God, this guy's not here. What are we gonna do?
Yeah.
I kind of feel this Arsenal team's like, Odegaard's out. Shame for him. That's okay.
Yeah,
Saka's
the
out,
depth is huge. Yeah. No, for sure. And that's what was missing as well, I think, in previous seasons. But obviously, I think we said it in the summer, you signed Madueke to be Saka's substitution or replacement, let's say, or number 2. But that cost you 50 million because that's the price you pay for a really good player who's going to come into your squad, into your roster. Maybe not start many games, but still you need him in case something happens, or off the bench, or as another option, and you can rest other players, which they didn't have before. Remember how many games Saka played last season, and eventually his body broke down. So this is, I think, for me, where they made the biggest improvement is on that. And again, that costs money, obviously, but this is the rest, that solidity defensively, it was there. The set piece, it was there. The individual talent, it was there. Even the collective strength was there. But the big difference is that depth in the squad, and then that depth helps you winning more games. And the more you win, the more confident you are, the momentum you have, and that's why they are the best team in the world right now.
All right, I gotta let you one other thing, and then we move on to Bayern. I'm watching Sky Italia last night, and they have this really cool. I think it's really good. It's a studio. Reminds me of that show, the NBA on TNT with Barkley and Shaq back in the day, because there's Billy Costa Curta, there's Di Canio, and then there's Fabio Capello. And then weirdly, there's Fauzi Ghulam sometimes, too, which is kind of fun. But, and obviously they get to do two-way flash interviews with players and coaches, and they bring on Calafiori. And Capello, as a lot of older people do, he rarely lavishes. He can always find fault with everybody, right?
Yeah.
He rarely, he's not there just to tell people how great they are, right? Unless sometimes it's an older player or whatever. And he's talking to Calafiori, and he becomes like a child. Like he's just this man crush on him. I want to put this to you, and it was just a wonderful reaction because he says, like, Calafiori comes on, he says, like, you know what? Like, you're like a young Sergio Ramos. Remember when Sergio Ramos used to play fullback, right? Yeah. It's just that you're on the left, he was on the right, and you attack and you defend, you got so much quality going forward, blah, blah, blah. And again, yes, younger viewers, Sergio Ramos wasn't just the old guy with his hand up, fouling people and getting sent off. When he was very young, he was actually a tremendous attacking fullback. And then he says to him, oh, but you know what? You know where I would play you if you were my player? I would play you in front of the back four. You'd be like Marcel Desailly of the Milan days, only with much more quality than Marcel had. And Calafiori's just like, all right. It was really funny because he's listening, and obviously everybody likes getting praise, but he's like, okay, guys, let's slow this down and let's wind it back and not get carried away.
Yeah.
He is getting way carried away. It's way too early, right?
For Capello, you mean?
He's not. Calafiori's not Sergio Ramos.
No, but he's been excellent.
He's not even that
season.
kind of player. I think he's probably a better passer than Sergio Ramos was. Sergio Ramos, maybe a better athlete, maybe better in the air. Yeah. I don't even see that comparison much.
No, definitely not. I agree with you. And I don't think Sergio Ramos could have come into midfield like Calafiori does, and he's so good at doing. But I think also for, where he's improved a lot this season, and you see that on the cross from the Madueke goal, for example, is that quality that for a long time he was the inverted fullback coming inside, very good because he's got so much quality on the ball, left foot, perfect. But now I think even his projection forwards, the runs that he makes in the half space, the quality of crossing is so much better than it was. It just needs to stay fit, but now he's been fit the whole season, so it's a really good start. But I think he's been outstanding.
The way that cross was whipped rather than floated, it's either somebody, it's one of three things happens. Either an Arsenal player gets on the end of it, which is what happened, or it's an own goal, or nobody gets on the end of it, right? Those are two of the three positive outcomes for Arsenal there. And the Desailly comparisons, we're not even going to go there because that Desailly midfield monstering everybody. that's not
Yeah,
Calafiori. Not now, not ever.
I'm
yeah?
not sure it works again in a team, in an Arteta team. You need more quality technically than Marcel ever had.
All right. So we got to see Leonard Carl, and maybe we were getting all super excited by the Esteval Yamal thing the night before, teenage talent, next generation. Scores a nice goal, runs around. I don't know what to think of a 17-year-old with a little mustache like that. Whatever, up to you. I think it looks better on Voltermata, put it that way, than it does on this guy. But I look back and I ask what company could have done different. And the obvious thing is, yes, he could have put out a more defensive team, right? He should have said, all right, Gnabry's half fit. Carl's just a kid. Maybe I put Guerrero on the flank. Maybe I use Nico. Maybe I put Kane at 10 and Nico in front of him. I mean, he does have these other options.
Not great options. Not
the best option. Switching Stanisic and Lima around, I thought definitely worked, because we talked about Saka before, and I thought that was a big part of what kept Saka quieter.
But then Lima is at 4 under Madwicke goal because he's asleep.
Limer's tired.
Yeah, exactly. He was tired.
and he's on the unfamiliar flank. He didn't have the weapons to change this.
No.
I want to see this again with Musiala and Davies on board.
And Gyökeres and Odegaard, and have them
and
all
Havertz up front. I want to see Havertz up front.
All the options, and see who wins really. I know we can't put too much pressure maybe on Carl, like we can't really do on Estevao. Lamine is a little bit different, but I was a little bit disappointed, not so much by Leonard Carl, but by just Bayern with the ball. I mean, Kane had 0 shot, I think, for the first time in his career, maybe.
Right.
No shot at all. He had 2 touches in the Arsenal box. Carl has 2 touches in the Arsenal box. The one is the goal, first time finish. The second one is the other shot that he has that Raya saves pretty easily. That's it. So Carl, as a winger, didn't even have the ball in the Arsenal box to try, as a forward, to try to
spend
do
time
something.
inside.
To try to do something. And I think that was the key for Arsenal as well, is to nullify completely the Bayern firepower, even without Musiala, even without Luis Diaz, even without.
I think you answered that question yourself before. Is the fact that there were several Declan Rices
as well
on the pitch. I mean, Kimmich, other than the goal, I thought had a really really rough time.
Yeah,
Pavlovic was running himself ragged, and it's like, I mean, he's going to have Rice haunting him in his dreams. Olise had a bad game, and Gnabry not fully fit. And I think when you talk about
absolutely.
Kane, I do wonder, because we always replay the highlights back, that the one time we talk about the Arsenal defensive solidity, the one time things definitely broke down for Arsenal was on that 3-on-2 counter, and then becomes a 4-on-2 because Kane trails too. Stanisic makes the wrong decision. If he doesn't see the teammates, it would have been that would have we would have had a barn burning ending if they'd scored there. And then that's a level of regret. But I don't think Bayern leave this game saying like, oh, we suck.
No, but like Gnabry said, he said we were beaten by the best team and they were much better than us, and that can happen. Like they were against PSG in the first half. Bayern were much better and they won that game, and deservedly so.